Welcome to another episode of the Cultural Illiteracy, podcast. Got a special guest with me today. His name is Kent Fleming. He has his own gym and training facility, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when I was just stalking his page a little bit before you got here, you are the Omaha Beef Strength and Conditioning coach now.
Okay. Yep. Just recently took over that position, so
very recent.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
First, how'd you get that? Let's just start there.
With all my beef,
Mm-hmm.
it was weird because I was driving down the street and the Omaha Beef, the owner, he has a Jeep as well, and this thing is huge, and it's decked out Omaha Beef, and I have another product that I'm selling called the Fumble Sleeve, and it's a product that I've invented that we manufacture in China, and so I was like, oh man, let me stop this guy, and so I flagged him down, and it was really originally just supposed to be the Fumble Sleeve, just getting his players to kind of test it out, make some content. And so as we was making content, he was just talking to me, and one thing led to another, and boom,
Wow,
strength and conditioning coach.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to get back to that. First, the thing that really moved the needle, I was like, let me get him on the podcast. I keep just seeing story after story after story. You helping people lose weight and change their lives, and this person lost 100-something pounds. This person lost 82 pounds, and it looks deeper than just weight loss. Like their lives is changing for the better. What even got you into coaching and training to begin with?
Well, I'm second generation gym owner. My dad's owned the gym since '89.
Wow.
So I kind of, born and raised in the industry, right? And it wasn't my first love. I fought it for a long time because he wanted me to take over gyms, and he wanted to open up a second location and me take it over. And I sat at the dinner table one time, and I said, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to do what you do.
Right.
I have other aspirations. I have a lot of things that I think I can do other than this. Because I always thought training was kind of one of those things where I could do that with my eyes closed. You know what I'm saying? And so, business after business that I started, it failed and failed and failed and lost a lot of money. And it kind of just fell me into just doing what I know, doing what I'm gifted at. And so I said, you know what? If I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna be the very best. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna just do it. Because a lot of guys just do it. Everybody's a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Everybody's a gym guru. And so I said, you know what? If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna set myself apart. And so that's how I got into it.
So it ain't on you, it's in you. It sounds like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was some of the other businesses you tried?
Oh my gosh.
Because a lot of people want to start businesses out there, and I've even learned. So I started off investing in businesses, and I made some good investments. So I know how to invest. I know all about business, and I tried to start my own business. And I said, "Oh, I don't know shit about actually starting and running a business."
Right.
So what's some pitfalls and stuff you went into?
Oh man, I had a 2-year period where I started and failed 8 businesses. It started I started a nonprofit because everybody wants a nonprofit, but that's one of the most difficult things to start with the paperwork and having it. So I started a group home for adults with disabilities, and it started off that, lost my money. Then I started a trucking business, a dump trucking business, and the truck never worked. I thought I could buy cheap and fix. Truck never worked. Then I started a roll-off container business with a different truck that I only spent $2,000 on. Thought I could fix it up, and instead of buying the containers, I thought I could weld my own container. So I'm learning how to weld, just trying to find the shortest cut to make money, get into business without having the money. So that fell, and then I started a dumpster cleaning business because I still had the dumpster that I made. So we was gonna go in the houses and clean them out. That didn't work. I think I went into, oh man, it's so many. I can't even think. But long story short, $50,000 later, I said, I might just need to get a real job. You know what I'm saying? So then I went down the street and went to PCA, Packaging Corporation of America. And I was like, dude, listen, I got to get a job. And I remember I was sitting in my interview, and the guy was like, "Man, you're way too qualified for this job. You know, like you're just gonna get the job and you're gonna quit." And I was like, "Man, listen, I need a paycheck. Okay, I've wasted all my money, all my savings is gone." And sure enough, I worked there for a week, and I said, I got something better. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the process. 2 years, and I sat there. I remember when I quit PCA, Packaging Corporation America, and I said, "What's wrong with me? You know, why can't I just be regular? Why can't I just get a job, get a paycheck? I mean, because in 2011 they was paying $22, $23 an hour. You know, so I'm like full benefits. I'm like, this is good. Um, but I just couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it. I had something better inside of me, and it just wouldn't let me settle.
Yeah, I could relate to that more than you know, actually. Yeah. So I guess what would you say was the turning point? Like you say like 50 bands later, a lot of time went by. Like what? Like I guess tell me like the first person that you helped when it was like, oh yeah, this is what I should have been doing.
Kyle Bland, and you know he might listen to this. Kyle Bland. He's a barber. He's a barber.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Kyle Bland. Kyle Bland. Shout out to Kyle Bland. Where you at? Kyle Bland. He walked up to me in 2012, and we're frat brothers too.
Okay.
And I remember we're sitting in my truck. He's like, "Man, I want to get big. I want to put some size on." And I was like, "All right, Kyle." Me and Kyle were close, but I never saw him as a gym guy. I'm like, "All right, man, you just come to gym with me and
I kind of remember him putting on little muscles. So you had something to do with that, huh?
Yeah. Right. And so me and Kyle, we just started hanging out, lifting weights. And I remember the first thing he told me was, "Man, I always wanted to bench 225." And Kyle's 165 pounds, soaking wet at this point. You know what I'm saying? Skinny fat. And he'll tell you he was skinny fat. And I remember just kind of working with him and said, "Okay, we're going to do this." And boom, he's hitting 135 pounds. Boom, he's hitting 175, then 205. And then it was that moment he benched 225. And I saw the excitement in his eyes. And it was the first time I had ever put a plan together and saw it through. And when he did that, I was happier for him than he was.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started this little itch of, man, I don't know where else you can get that feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was with Kyle Bland. And then he brought his girlfriend at the time with him, and she brought her friend. And it steamrolled from there.
Nice. Beautiful story. Yeah, definitely. So you go through all those situations with the other businesses prior, and then you take on pretty much like the first official or unofficial client in Cal. Get bit by the coaching bug. What's been like your most exciting story since Cal, would you say? Like the biggest mountain you had to climb with a client or something like that?
Man, to be honest with you, I get asked that question a lot.
Really?
Because I work with a lot of people. I can't tell you that, you know? It's like, which one's your favorite kid? You know? You have different things that you love about it, but you can't really I can't really pick, because every time, you know, someone loses, hell, even 30 pounds, I have that euphoric feeling. You see what I'm saying? And so they're all exciting. They're all great. A milestone for me though would have to be, we just did me and Daniel Lau. Shout out to Daniel if you're listening. We put on the first annual North Omaha Powerlifting Championship.
Wow!
And that was after I acquired my own powerlifting federation, and so we kicked it off with the North Omaha Powerlifting Championship, and it was just it just exceeded everybody's expectations. Not only with me having my own federation, but it's our first time. We don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But just the support that people came out, I would have to say that was like one of the pinnacle moments of just this entire journey, because powerlifting was my first love. Okay. And that's how I kind of got in this thing.
Yeah, that's good. What's your deadlift? Or what's your highest deadlift you had?
Highest deadlift, 785.
Ooh, yeah, nowhere near that. Okay, so all right, so let's kind of get into your philosophy. Earlier, you mentioned you kind of wanted to be different. What do you think is the biggest difference between you and most other trainers?
I would say knowledge. Um, Understanding the body, understanding what to do when the body's fighting you is probably, I believe, what separates. Um, a lot of people think that, you come in and just more sets, more reps, harder, faster, and really just the strategy of knowing sometimes that's not what the body needs. Oftentimes, that's not what the body needs, because you're stressing the body out.
Yeah.
Cortisol is now in the body. Cortisol brings higher glucose levels. The body's starting to change hormonally. So you're kind of spinning your web. And once you know the proper techniques on how to manipulate the metabolism, how to keep the body firing, um, you know, then you'll never have somebody you're working with who you just couldn't figure out. And I think a lot of times, guys who personal trainer work with people, they get stumped. They have kind of one plan, which is I'm gonna put you through a program and we're gonna work hard. You're gonna sweat, and that is not even half the game when it comes to true transformations. There's a psychological aspect of it, and if you don't know the psychological aspect, you don't know how to tap into somebody's will, right? You don't know how to guide them. You don't know how to, um, reassure them that hey, we're gonna get there. Um, you're gonna be spinning your web, and I feel like that's kind of the very best thing I do is a knowledge aspect of knowing. Okay, you couldn't do it here. You couldn't do it here. Okay, come in here, and we'll make those adjustments and get the body moving.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I did a little unofficial personal training myself in the beginning, just based off of my own journey. Because I used to be almost 100 pounds heavier than what you see now.
Oh wow,
high blood pressure and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I had my couple clients, 50-50, half of them get the results, half didn't. And I'm like, why they doing it? Why you ain't doing it?
Right.
And for me, the biggest thing for me became the psychology piece. And now I done pivoted to where 80% of what I do is just conversation and psychology, and the exercise part, I'll send them to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I found that part to be a little more fascinating and transformative in their life all the way around. So I definitely feel you on that. You mentioned manipulating the metabolism. What's some ways you do that, and why is like that? Like, what does that even mean necessarily for people?
Yeah. So metabolism. Definition of metabolism is the rate in which the body processes or utilizes energy, right? And we get our energy from food. All food breaks down into our macros. Macros is protein, fats, and carbs. Well, your body is your primary energy source is carbohydrates, glucose, right? And so, really, carbs is what's controlling the metabolism. Okay, and so the way you manipulate the metabolism is by I like to use carb cycling, right?
Okay.
That's one of the ways you can do it. Ramping up the carbohydrate intake, getting the metabolism firing, and then abruptly dropping the carbohydrates by, let's say, 20% or something like that. So the metabolism is still firing at the rate in which you were putting the energy level in. And then when you drop those carbs, now your body has a gap of energy that it has to make up, right? And so usually that gap is going to be stored energy, which is body fat. And so that'll work for a little bit, and then your metabolism now starts coming down to the rate in which you're putting the carbs in. And then what do? You ramp it back up, and then you cycle it. And so I have my clients, they weigh themselves daily, okay? And your weight usually will tell me when the metabolism is slowed down and when to make those adjustments. And so I don't just give a nutrition plan and just wait for it to happen. No, you're weighing yourself daily, and your weight is oftentimes going to tell me when to make that next adjustment. Okay, boom, add this, boom, take this out. And so it's just a cat and mouse game that I'm playing with the metabolism. And so that's just one of the techniques that I use to manipulate.
Yeah. Has it ever, and that was like a gem. Y'all might want to rewind that part a few times.
Give you a little bit too much information.
Yeah. He might tell me to edit it out later. I don't know. But has there ever been a client you had where your usual methods didn't seem to be working, like that frustrated you the most, we'll say? Had you got to go deep into your coaching too bad?
100%, 100%. PCOS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insulin resistance, and so just I never forget. Mm, this was 9 years ago uh, when I was first introduced to PCOS, right? And I had the privilege of working around a lot of bodybuilders,
Mm.
a lot of gurus, and so I never forget Danny Thurman. If you listen to this, I was working with a client and I was just doing the manipulation of the carbs and da da da, and it wasn't working.
Mm.
Couldn't figure it out. I never forget. Danny doesn't remember this, and so I was sitting there and I was kind of because I used to always, try to always come across like I had all the answers. And so I'm talking to Danny and he's like, "Have you tried playing around with the fats?" And I
Mm.
was like, "What do you mean?" Because I'm like a carb guy, right? He said, "Try playing around with their fats," and I'm just kind of like listening, trying to act like I knew what I was talking about, but he's really putting me on game with the fats.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. And so then, boom, I start diving into research. 'Cause that's what I do. If I hear
Mm-hmm.
something new, I'm going to dive into
Right, right.
research. And so now I'm getting this other energy source. I'm learning about this other energy source called ketones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, once I learned glucose and ketones, right? And sometimes we're insulin resistant.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes insulin isn't working for you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because, when you eat, food turns into glucose, right? And glucose is just sitting in the blood. And glucose can't do anything without insulin. Insulin comes and grabs the glucose and funnels into the cell so the body can use it for energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if insulin isn't working, I don't care how much carbs they give you. I don't care how many times they manipulate the metabolism with carbs. Insulin's your issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people don't know that, right? And so it's not usually sometimes all the time like this person just eats worse than this person. No, you have insulin issue. Your body's not utilizing it. It's not carrying that glucose into the cell. Like Joe Blow over here, who's 170 pounds that can eat whatever they want, right? And so just really learning the fats aspect of it, especially for women with PCOS, insulin resistance, learning how to now pull the glucose down and now making the fat, the ketones work for you, changes the game. And so um, those are the kind of clients that make you kind of say, mm, I know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you don't know that unless you come
Yeah,
across
because you come across
those
it, and then they
kind
end
of
up making you a
clients.
better coach
Yes,
long
sir.
term. Yeah, yeah, fascinating. And that's why that's how I knew it was something. Yo, you had too many consistent, impressive stories.
Mm.
Where I was like, I know he ain't like the average trainer. He knows something.
Right.
That's good. I honor that. That's dope. Uh, have you found yourself struggling like with your own journey at times? Sometimes I know even myself today. I'll be in Target and I walk past that vegan Ben and Jerry's ice
Mm.
cream, and I'll take the pint.
Oh,
So every once in a while, do you
yeah,
find yourself going through that?
1,000%, man. I noticed that when I finally opened up my gym, and this is what I tell people all the time. You know, I mentor a lot of people in the industry, and I have a lot of people I work with that say, "Man, I want to open up a gym one day." They lose a bunch of weight, and they say, "I want to do this." And I said, "It's not what you think.
Mm.
It's not what you think." Because sometimes when the gym becomes your job, um, it becomes stressful for not only you inside work, but then anytime you're in the gym trying to work on yourself, it's that much more stressful, right?
Mm.
You can't really turn your mind off. Um, you'll be in it because the gym for a lot of people is their stress relief, right?
Mm.
It's the place they go to relieve stress. And if
Now it's becoming a
you
source.
see what I'm saying, and you're working with hundreds of people, and that place that used to be hey, I just need to go to the gym and release some energy, some stress, is the place you're like, man, I can't wait to get the heck out of here, right? And so you're just constantly kind of battling that, and and then two, coming from the powerlifting world, where you think more is better, and you know, you just kind of sometimes you have to fight that and continue to say, hey, listen, I got to care about myself. I'm putting all this energy into this person. I got to continue to care about myself and things like that. So that's a never ending battle.
Yeah.
And you just try to win those days.
Yeah. What would you say was kind of two things? What would you say is the biggest misconception from like the common person who's not too familiar with fitness, and then what do you think is the most common misconception you see amongst like trainers who's actually in the industry that they still may not be getting right?
Okay, so say the question again.
So first part of the question, let's do it one at a time.
Okay.
What do you think is like the most common misconception to the common person when it comes to like getting in shape, health and fitness?
Biggest misconception would be that if I restrict my calories and I train hard, they'll lose weight. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
If it worked that way, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
If I worked that way, the fitness industry wouldn't be $1 trillion industry. If you could just restrict your calories and work out, there wouldn't be a gym on every. Omaha has one of the highest per capita gyms in the United States. We have more gyms than people than anywhere else.
Really?
It's not. We're in the top 5. Okay, really? So that wouldn't be a stat if you could just restrict your calories and train hard.
For those of you who follow me, does that not sound familiar? So what's one of the biggest misconceptions you would say, like people actually in the industry, coaches, that they have, or like a common mistake that you think isn't serving their clients? Like if you could just stop them from doing something.
What's the say it one more
like
time.
What's like one of the biggest like myths perpetrated from other coaches, or biggest misconceptions they say? Like what's one of the most common mistakes you see amongst your peers? Sound like you got more than one.
The biggest thing I see is personal trainers believing that their 6-pack is going to make somebody else's 6-pack. Like you look amazing, so therefore your client's going to see results doing what you do. I see the mistake made all the time. At the end of the day, the people want to come in and they want to see the results and they want it for them. And if you're spending too much time making content of yourself and flashing your workouts, where's the time for that person who's paying you that money, who's in a much different spot than you're in? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I see it all the time. I'm like, that.
Yeah, and that's something I learned the hard way too, because I used to attribute my success in my journey to just going vegan. So I became the pro vegan guy. Yeah. And then when I started coaching, I was like, okay, so I have to look at some real stats. Okay, 2% of people is vegan. What are the odds? Okay. Stop there. Yeah. Then I see like carnivore people could improve. Okay, so it's not necessarily, it's something. What's the common denominator from vegans, carnivores, Mediterranean, people who still eat whatever? Sure. And I had to take a more realistic approach. So yeah, that's something I learned the hard way pretty recently. So I feel you on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If I'd have met you 5 years earlier, maybe it wouldn't have taken as long. Yeah. So if you could, what's the biggest lesson you learned personally? We'll say like over the past 3-4 years.
In business or just in
in business? Yeah, we'll go with business.
Business. Well, 3 years ago I went bankrupt. 3 years ago, I had 2 locations. I had a location in Omaha and Kansas City. My location in Omaha was 4,000 square feet. Had a sauna, cardio rooms, dumbbell area, all that kind of stuff, and then opened up another facility in Kansas City, and it all came crashing down. And what I realized is that first of all, if you want to do it your way, it doesn't work. You have to do it God's way. And he gave me a lot of principles, a lot of things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't adhering to, I wasn't following. And so when everything came crashing down, I'm at my lowest point 3 years ago, and I couldn't pay somebody to train with me, which is so funny because, I have a waiting list now. Um, and just 3 years ago, I I couldn't run a special to get anybody.
Mm.
And you know what I thought was is that bigger was better. Okay, the bigger the facility, the more people I can work with, the more showers I had, the more people would come in. And it wasn't that.
Mm.
It wasn't that. It was me. It was consistency that I was lacking. I thought all the bells and whistles would kind of mask all that. And so the biggest lesson I learned was I have to be the most consistent person, no matter how big my facility is, no matter how much equipment I have. I have to be consistent. And so that was that's what I learned the most.
Wow. So, because you said you trained Cal almost like 10 years ago or something?
Yeah,
10, 12 years
about
ago?
12 years ago. Yeah.
And then you had all that success with him. You kind of got bit by the bug. And even still years later, you kind of hit like a rock bottom with the
Oh
bankruptcy.
man. Oh man.
And now 3 years later, you got a waiting list. You got.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
That's a hell of a journey.
Yes sir.
And I want people to really like the man went bankrupt. A lot of times we try things and we'll just give up and say, I'm a failure. You only fail when you stop. I don't say it's no such thing as failure. You only fail when you stop.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
congratulations coming back from that.
Appreciate it.
What was the other question I had for you? Oh, so I guess like what's next? What's the next? What's the thing that got you most excited now that you're working on?
Well, we're in season 16, and you know, people are used to seeing a lot of crazy results come out of the gym. I got some stuff right now that is going to blow everybody's mind. We have, um, you know, I've been keeping a lot of things under wraps and saying, okay, no, let's wait, let's not tell everybody about this yet. And I have probably 10 to 15 individuals right now that's going to just blow the roof off when people see the type of work and the type of weight and transformations they made. And so, season 16, we set record numbers. Um, and season 16 right now, we're going to have some of the best transformations that even I've seen. I haven't seen it anywhere else. And that's what I'm excited about.
Nice. All right. Where can people find you? People who's watching, how can they get into it? What you're doing? How can they get on that waiting list? And
Yeah.
is there a way to skip the line?
Well, I do signings every 8 weeks, right? So once we get about 2 weeks in, I cut off the signing period. And so you would go to bklomaha.com. That's bklomaha.com. And you can sign up for season 17, which starts, I think, the first week of March. And so that's when you can start. So you have probably about another 3 days to sign up, or you're just going to have to wait for next season. And, I guess if you're a friend of a friend of a friend, you could
gotta know somebody.
you could, and it depends on the desperation part. Like somebody who really needs it, who I feel like if they wait, I'm gonna lose them. I'll bring them in. You know what I'm saying? But I like to have my people focus on my people, stop for a week, reload, and then boom. Once you have kind of this script that you're writing with your clients, it's kind of hard to keep just bring people in randomly while you're building the script. Um, so that's why I like to train 8 weeks, take a break, reload, train 8 weeks, stop, reload, and that's just been my strategy, and it just works better for me.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think this is man. This is on my episode too. This is valuable. I think it's very valuable. If y'all was really paying attention, I think this could really help y'all a lot.
I gave you some secrets, then.
He gave me some secrets. Gave y'all some secrets. Take advantage. Your health, the health. That's like the foundation of everything, man. If you ain't got the health, you ain't really got nothing. So appreciate you coming on here, man. Any last words? Anything you want to tell the people before we officially wrap up?
I would say, like we were talking about 3 years ago, I was at the lowest point of my life, mentally, spiritually, financially. But if you really, and a lot of people say it, trust God, things like that, right? But if you really, really, really seek, he says you shall find, right? Knock and the door shall be open. And the more you seek, and the more, and sometimes, God puts us in a space where He needs us to fail to really, really not only find ourselves to be, but to be a steward of what He gives you. Because it's not like I wasn't making money. It's not like I didn't have the things, the resources. I wasn't a good steward over it. And sometimes He knocks us down to say, "Hey, listen, what I've given you is more than enough. My grace is sufficient, and you know, hey, it's not the end of the road. Keep going, keep fighting." And last thing, I know I'm talking a lot,
No,
but
take time.
uh, this idea that I thought that bigger was better. I was waiting for the next biggest thing, the next biggest. I had a location. I need another location. I need a bigger location. And I remember, my gym right now is 1,000 square feet, soaking wet. Okay, one bathroom. Okay, in the back of a plaza that nobody can see. Everybody that's ever been in my gym has to ask me how to get there. Okay, I don't even have a sign on my building. Okay, if you walk past it a million times, you wouldn't know it was there. And so a lot of us business owners and entrepreneurs think that that's the part that matters. It is not. You have been given a gift. God blessed you with that thing. And so that thing is going to work regardless if you're a storefront, if you're not, regardless if you have the cutting edge or the state of the art equipment. That thing that God put inside of you, it will work because He gave you the resources. He's just waiting on you to get off your butt and fight.
Powerful. Very powerful. Yeah. I don't want to say nothing else. Till next time, y'all.